sewers of Gotham, a new villain emerges.
You didn't invite me, so I crashed!
From the rooftops of Gotham, the perfect enemy comes to life.
I am Catwoman. Hear me roar. Yeah.
And the only one who can save this city is a creature of the night.
Watching every feature film that stars a certain Cape Crusader. Batman! Batman! Yes, of course I'm watching the cartoon and all 3 Lego movies. Batman! Batman! Sing it with me. Batman! Batman! This is Big Screen Batman! Oh, oops. Oh, Batman!
For the first time and the last time, Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman. For the first time and the last time, Daniel Day DeVito as the Penguin. For the last time, Tim Burton as the director. And for the last time, sorta, Michael Keaton as Batman in 1992's Batman Returns, just as Big Screen Batman returns to you, the listener. Folks, welcome back to Big Screen Batman, where last night I watched 95% of Batman Returns before I fell asleep. It was a long day. It was Thanksgiving Day. I wanted to get this show out on Thanksgiving evening, kind of a Thanksgiving treat. But alas, that didn't happen. I woke up this morning and I finished the last 20 minutes or so. And finally, the day after Thanksgiving, Black Friday, hopefully no one is out shopping, I've got myself a drink, a little vodka tonic. On ice, yeah. It's like this little canned vodka tonic. I call it vodka tonic because it sounds cuter. And I'm all about sounding cute. 1992. That is 28 years ago. I, again, saw this in the theater. I don't believe Dad, I don't believe Father came with us. I believe it was just me and my brother. He would have been 19 in 1992. So, definitely, like, we don't need dear old Dad to bring us to the theater anymore. And so 1992, I was, carry the one, I was 16 years old. 28 years ago seems like forever ago. And yet, 1 year later is when I met my wife, which is cuckoo bananas when you think about it. It just means that we're very old, and I'm too old to be podcasting about Batman, but I am not one to follow the rules. I'm one to stick to my passions, and when you go into a podcast without any script or any idea, sometimes these ramblings just happen. Batman Returns. I remember being so excited for this. I was like, oh my God, Louis De Palma is going to be the Penguin. I'm Danny DeVito. I mean, he's I know him from Taxi. I know him from Romancing the Stone. I almost said Gleaming the Cube. and then the sequel was at the Jewel of the Nile, I believe. He was just someone who I knew has always made me laugh as a kid. And all of a sudden, he was playing the Penguin, Oswald Cobblepot, who I didn't know that was the name of the Penguin at the time. I didn't know, like, Selena Kyle was the name of Catwoman. I didn't know these things, but I was very excited. Not excited enough to read the novelization. This time around, I did not read. This would have been like the summer of '92, was it? Yes, it was June 1992, so I technically was still 15 years old. But I was still, maybe at this point I was trying to be cooler, I don't know, but I was still completely excited about this one. I remember going to see it, and I believe I remember not loving it as much as the first one. This is just me trying to think, like, it was weird, it felt different. I'm like, it's just... It's a little kookier. It's a little more Tim Burton-y, I feel. But I was like, whoa, that's Pee Wee Herman. Now, of course, Tim Burton and Pee Wee go back to Pee Wee's Big Adventure. And Paul Rubens, seeing him on screen in 1992, look it up, kids. It was interesting to see Paul Rubens back on the big screen again. No longer, or at least at this time, not as Pee Wee Herman. Again, kids, look it up on Google. Don't make me tell you. But it was cool to see him. This movie started very differently. This one started, whereas the first one started with the theme, and with just the Batman logo. Because it was almost like, hey, man, this is Batman. We did it. Second time around, they went right into some storyline with this was 33 years ago. A baby was born to this family that they did not seem to love or care about. It seemed to be that the baby had some sort of deformities. It had flippers. And they kept it in a cage and didn't eat a cat or something like that. So, being the respectable people they are in the Gotham community, they decided to take the child and throw him over a bridge into this lake, into this river, whatever it was, this pond, this stream. And the stream took the child in its little crib, baboose, I don't know what, caboose, whatever it is. Took the child right over, the water, over this little waterfall. This was kind of how the credits were being played while this happened. And it, like the little baby holder, whatever you want to call it, came right to the water's edge. And of course, those famed, well-known under sewer dwellers, penguins, were there waiting for the child. And I was like, why are there penguins under Gotham? Now, they did explain this. They didn't out and out say it, but they showed you that, later on, that this was like Arctic World, part of a zoo. And there was a circus. And it was the Red Triangle Circus that then became the Red Triangle Gang, that then this child grew up to become the leader of. There was no, it's interesting, the origin of these characters. Like the Joker one, as I said, he was already kind of goofy. Then he fell into a vat of acid, and with the smile, he went cuckoo crazy and decided to get all kinds of purple stuff and all these wild toys. At least the Penguin had a gang, and the 33 years passed for him to, I guess, get all the stuff he needed to get to have like his giant rubber ducky that he sat in, and all the gear they needed. And someone made him nice leather gloves. This is when, so, they say you want one villain. Well, we'll give you two villains. In fact, we'll give you three villains. Well, two villains and one anti-hero, I guess you could say. Because right away, like we flash forward to 33 years, and we're in our main story, which I'm going to try to tell you. The main story of Batman Returns is a rich man played by Christopher Walken as Christopher Walken. It was like the character was basically Christopher Walken. And his son Chip, who I don't recognize at all, but he did kind of have that, he did kind of do a Christopher Walken, not impression, but kind of had that same kind of talk like him a little bit, dad. So he is a rich guy, okay, who wants to get the mayor to green light his power plant. And the mayor's like, well, we have a lot of power already. Why do we need a power plant? And this guy, the character's name is Max Schreck, who I believe is also the real life actor name of the actor who played Nosferatu, I think, something like that. So he's like, I want to have this, this power plant, and they're like, the power, you can never have too much power. The lights are flickering. Imagine that. We don't have enough power. We really need this power plant, Mr. Mayor. And the mayor's like, well, we got to, go through the proper channels and all this stuff. And he's like, yeah, I'm going to be meeting with Bruce Wayne tomorrow to talk about, I think helping to fund it or something like that. And he has an executive assistant, a secretary, played by Michelle Pfeiffer, Selena Kyle, who looks very nervous. She's very intimidated by all the businessmen in the room, and she's just a little lady. And we kind of follow her back to her house, and she realizes, oh my God, I need to go back to the office to get the paperwork because for the big Bruce Wayne meeting tomorrow, I forgot. And you see her, she kind of like down in the dumps. Her mother's worried about her. She can't keep a man. She just lives with her cats. And she's just like, I know this isn't great, but I need this job to pay the rent. And she's like, oh goodness, I got to go back to the office. Heads back to the office. And while she is there, I guess before she heads home for the night, we get the first attack of this gang that I don't think the Penguin shows up yet. But Batman, this is when we get our first Batman shot. Batman's beating up all these gang guys, and he actually runs into Selena Kyle, and he saves her. She heads home, then she heads back to the office. When she's in the office, Max Schreck is there. What's his name? Christopher Walken. And he stumbles upon her. He's like, oh, you're working so late. She's like, yes, I wanted to get everything and dot every I and cross every T and make sure the meeting's all set. I even went into your secret files. He's like, how'd you do that? Oh, I figured your password. And she dug into these secret files that she probably shouldn't have in the first place. I mean, that's an invasion of privacy. But she definitely should have, because she found out that the power plant was actually what did they call it? I forget what they called it, but it actually was going to suck power out of Gotham and store it and hold it kind of for ransom. So he realizes this and he pushes her out a window. She falls to her death. But while she lands, hits the ground, cats show up and kiss her and nibble her feet and nibble her fingers and bring her back to life. So you're like, okay, we have a Catwoman. I understand. And they actually did this in Gotham too. It was they have like a younger version of Catwoman. It was like paying homage of this. She got pushed out a window and cats came and brought her back to life. But when I was like thinking about it, I was like, what is happening? Like, how did that, like, that's it? Are these magic cats? I don't know. Or is it just that whole old story of cats have magic in them? I don't know, but she came back to life, went back to her apartment, and now she's just a little different. She's very pale. She's got this bump on her head, or this like wound on her head. She's like, she talks much deeper. She doesn't seem to care about what's going on. She freaks out in her apartment, smashes everything, grabs this leather coat, and starts sewing it up and turning it into a suit. And then she calls herself Catwoman. And that's the origin of Catwoman. The Penguin finally makes, I forget how this happens. Did they kidnap Max? Okay, so at some point they kidnap Christopher Walken, the Penguin's gang, bring him down into the sewers and tell him, look, I just want to meet my mom and dad. I just want to know who my mom and dad is. I want to know who I am. That's all I want, which is kind of a lie. He finds out his name is Oswald Cobblepot, and he finds out his parents are dead. He goes to his parents' headstone. I did like the touch where there were no years on the parents' headstones showing date of birth or death, because this is, again, trying to feel timeless. Did I mention Batman's in this? Yes, he's in this. So at this point, Max Schreck is getting pushback from the mayor. He realizes that, hey, he has an idea. He can get, they dropped a line where it's like, oh, you know, he's like, good luck finding someone else to run for mayor. Well, he actually grabs the Penguin, and everyone is kind of, he's become like a sympathetic character in Gotham. People are like, oh, Penguin, and they're all excited to help him. They dress him up. They kind of use him as a prop. He eventually figures this out. It's like, oh, what happens? They kidnap the mayor's kid and then pretend to save the mayor's kid. I mean, there's a lot going on. There is a lot happening. At one point, Bruce Wayne goes back to meet Max Schreck, and he meets Selina. And he's like, oh, I've met you before. And he almost slips. I mean, come on, Bruce, you got to do better than Bruce Wayne would not slip up like that, would he? Because he saved her. She's like, I don't think so. He's like, oh, you know what? I'm confusing me for someone else. You mean confusing me for someone else? Oh yeah, that's what I meant. I thought that was a fun little line. He ends up asking her for dinner. They come over. She comes over. They hang out for a little while. Kissy, kissy, kissy. Then they realize that there's something going on at Gotham Square. So she leaves to be Catwoman. He leaves to be Batman. They don't realize each other again. That was some fun stuff. Trying to think what happens. I don't remember. And I watched it just last night. And again, you've seen this movie's 28 years old, but I'm trying my best to remember everything. So then at some point they end up fighting. The Penguin is there too. He's fighting, and he takes control of the Batmobile. But for some reason he has a tiny Batmobile that he made in the perfect replica, like a toy Batmobile. Maybe they made these in Gotham, and he stole one and put the controllers on it. I guess I don't know. It was fun to look at, but when you think about it, like what, huh, what? And then, okay, so he beats up Catwoman at some point, and she crawls on top of him, and they make a line about mistletoe. You know, mistletoe can be deadly if you eat it. And she's like, a kiss is even deadlier if you mean it. And then she licks his face, and okay, I was like, whoa, Catwoman, meow. Later, they're at a dinner party, and they repeat the line to each other, and that's when they realize who they are. And they're like, what do we do? What do we do? He's like, I don't know. But she was there to kill Max Schreck. She had a gun. Bruce Wayne talked her out of it. Then an explosion, and Penguin shows up, and he's angry again. He takes Max Schreck again? He takes him again. Because now they've decided they're going to, Batman used a CD-ROM, 1992, to record audio of the Penguin. Then he hacked into a press conference and played the audio back, and thus the crowd, saying terrible things about Gotham and its people. The crowd end up turning on Penguin, and now he's terrible. Like, he's a bad guy again. He's like, I'm not Oswald Cobblepot anymore. I am the Penguin. So he kidnaps Christopher Walken again, and now the big thing is he went from running for mayor to really what he wants to do is kidnap and kill all the firstborn male children of Gotham. So this went from, this penguin-looking guy. Burgess Meredith wanted to, be rich and steal things. Danny DeVito wants to murder your children. So a little different, a little darker. And he has what's the guy's name? Vincent. I forget. He's a character actor. He's been in so many things. He was like the ghost who taught Patrick Swayze to be a ghost. He was the teacher in Better Off Dead. I think he was in Moonlighting a little bit. So he played one of the. He's no longer with us. He played one of like his henchmen who was driving a train with all the children they kidnapped in it. But Batman saved the day there. And then they showed up at the zoo, and Batman comes in. Penguin falls. He's trying to fight Batman. He falls through this glass, lands in the water, comes up later. He's like, blah, 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 and then drops dead, and the penguins drag him down into the water. Okay. Catwoman, on the other hand, is there to kill Max Schreck, but Max has the gun and starts shooting her, and she's like, I have 9 lives. So he starts shooting her. She's like, I have 8 lives or 7 lives, 6, 5, 4. And then she grabs this giant electrical wire and uses this shocker thing that she got off the guy who tried to attack her at the beginning when Batman saved him. Shocks herself, shocks him, kisses Max Schreck while holding the wire. Explosions going everywhere. And Batman finds Max Schreck but can't find Catwoman anywhere. Right before this, Bruce Wayne, Batman, tries to talk Catwoman out of doing this. Like, look, we can go back. We can just be together. You and I can be together. We can do this. Selina, we can do this. And then in one of my least favorite movie goofs of all time, Batman wears this dark black or dark blue makeup over his eyes so that they don't have to do like the mask can have these big eye holes. The eyes can be seen, and you can still see like some sort of like emotion, but they're all made up over. So then Batman looks like this fine. Right before he takes his cowl off, he rips it off to show Selina, hey, you and I can be together. The eyes go just completely normal, no makeup at all. And you see that, and it looks weird, and it's quick, and it looks terrible. What they should have done is just pulled it off and have makeup smeared on his face. It was very easy to do, but it's almost like they make it seem like that's no makeup. It's part of the suit. And yet, when they take it off, right before he takes it off, it disappears. It just bothers me to no end. And I think they fix it in the future Batman movies, and I think even in the brand new one, Robert Pattinson, you see him with makeup smeared on his face. Yes, please don't. It's like, oh, that bothered me. It bothered me as a kid watching this, as a 16-year-old child, 15-year-old child. I couldn't even drive, and I was just like, eh. So the movie ends. It's Christmas, first of all, so I guess it's almost 'tis the season to watch this movie. I'm not sure if this will be a Christmas movie going forward. Maybe it will be. The movie ends where Bruce is with Alfred in the car, and he thinks he sees the silhouette of Catwoman. He's like, Alfred, pull over. He runs into the woods or down this alley, snowy alley, and he sees just a cat. And he picks up the cat and he brings it back into the car. And he's like, Merry Christmas, Master Wayne, Master Bruce. He's like, Merry Christmas, Alfred. And doesn't he say like, goodwill to all men, or goodwill to all, or something like that? And then the car drives away. And in the original, the first Batman, then we go up in a building. We see Batman up against the bat signal. This time it goes up and up and up, and we see the bat signal go on. Like, oh, and then you see the head pop up, and there's Selina Kyle, Catwoman, alive, as the movie comes to an end, and there is no conclusion ever done to any of this. So finally someone lives, Catwoman lives, and it never amounts to jack squat. Because this is the end of Tim Burton. This is the end of Michael Keaton. This is the end of everybody except, I think, Commissioner Gordon and Alfred. Everything is different now in the next movie, Batman Forever. And I'm trying to think. Did I make my wife go see Batman Forever? Did we go see it with friends? Batman and Robin, I'm almost positive that my wife and I were dating, went with a couple of friends of ours who we're still friends with, even after seeing Batman and Robin together. But Batman Forever, I don't know if I I might have dragged her. I probably dragged her to go see this. Look, I dragged her to see Phantom Menace. She got out of it for the other two, thank goodness, but I dragged her to Phantom Menace. But I don't know if I liked this less this time around. I'm not sure, or if I don't know. It was just, there were certain things I loved about it. I thought Danny DeVito was chewing up the scenery. I thought his makeup was awesome. I thought even Selena Kyle, Michelle Pfeiffer was chewing up the scenery. The origin stories, whatever, they are what they are. It is weird when I look at Danny DeVito and I'm like, that's Frank Reynolds. Like, he's been on Sunny in Philadelphia for so long that's pretty much the character I see him as. This goofball, weird, over the top, guy. And in this, he's playing it like, this evil creature guy. And I really liked that. Also, again, just fun to look at as far as the style, the Tim Burton style. The music in this, again, was great. It was Danny Elfman. It was the same score, but there was like layers on top of it, I feel like. I don't know if it was like a children's choir, some kind of choir that just made it eerie. I like that it was set at Christmas. That made it fun. Yeah, I completely forgot to mention Prince and the Bat Dance in the last episode. But this time around, there was no music. It's so funny. If you look at the end, there's 2 songs listed in the soundtrack. One was the song written by Danny Elfman that played over the end credits that was performed by Susie and the Banshees, who, it took me a second to realize that's how you spelled Susie for Susie and the Banshees. That was a band that I've heard of, but I don't know anything about. And then the other song was Super Freak by Rick James that was performed by a orchestra. It was like an orchestra that was at one of the dances. It was like boom, doom, 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 doom. That's when you knew it wasn't the MC Hammer, cover, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, that was it. There was no soundtrack, no pop brought in at all. I wonder if that was Tim Burton's call or if it was just the call of the producers or just the way things went. Again, Tim Burton directed this. This was the last Tim Burton directed Batman. I wonder was it Ed Wood that he did right after this? I don't remember. It was co-written by Sam Hamm again, who wrote the first one. Same producers. It was like Peter Guber and someone else. I can't remember. But the same producers that did the first Batman. And I'm assuming the producers stay for the next 2. But this was kind of the end of an era. But it's not quite the end, right? Because the rumors we're seeing now, the headlines we're seeing now is that the DC cinematic universe is kind of scatterbrained. They tried to bring everything together like Marvel, where we have our characters and we get them together in a big movie. They did it a little differently, where they brought the characters together, then they kind of spread them apart to varying degrees of success. Where movies like Man of Steel, I think, was a success. I don't know if they weren't, and I think even Batman vs Superman was a success, but it wasn't. It didn't have wonderful response as far as long-term ratings, critical response. Then they came back with Justice League, bringing everything together, which, again, very mixed bag on that. Not enough Superman for me, mustache Superman, all that stuff. But then they came back with Wonder Woman, which was great. Aquaman, which was great. Suicide Squad, which was okay. Harley Quinn, which was okay. The Joker, which is, again, now here we go. So the Joker is its own thing. Then we have the new The Batman coming out, which is its own thing. At the same time, I think we're still staying in this DC cinematic universe for like the next Wonder Woman, which is going to be on HBO Max next month. Yes. That sucks as far as not being able to see it in the theater, but I'm excited to see it. Then we have The Suicide Squad, a soft reboot of that. Then we have the Batman, as we said, that's its own thing. But the big thing is, the two big things are the Snyder Cut. So we're getting a new version of Justice League, which is kind of Zack Snyder's way of fixing it and thinking he can do it right, which he couldn't do because he had to leave the film for a family tragedy. And Joss Whedon stunk up the joint, I think, with what he did. I'm just going to throw that out there. I don't think he's as good as either he used to be or people think he is. Then I'll say he used to be, because his early stuff, those early Buffy and Firefly are really good. Okay. An Angel. Yada yada. And I liked Dollhouse. I'll say it, I did. But isn't he kind of a dick? I don't know. I feel like I've seen that. Okay, anyway. So we got that. Then we start hearing that they're going to go just like, you know why you see all these different versions of different things? Because it's the multiverse, the DC multiverse. And we're going to go crazy. Oh, you want to see Michael Keaton's Batman again? Yeah, you will. You want to see Ben Affleck's Batman again? Yeah, you will. Like, they're bringing all this stuff out into The Flash. There's going to be this Flashpoint movie where I guess it touches on all these different worlds. Then they're talking DC, HBO Max originals, HBO Max. They want Ben Affleck for this. They want him back for Justice League 2 and 3. I don't know. I'm seeing these rumors. Again, they're just rumors. I don't know. I don't even know if I can trust the website I'm seeing them on, but I love seeing them. Okay? I love seeing them because these are my favorite characters, and seeing them brought to life over and over again. I don't care how many times they redo it or reboot it. I'm there because I love me some Superman and I love me some Batman. And this has been Big Screen Batman. We went Tim Burton for the first two, Michael Keaton for the first two, and now we're gonna, for the next episode of Big Screen Batman, we're gonna switch it up a little bit, and we're gonna be going to the world of animation. Yes, I guess it's pretty much a big screen Batman movie based on the Batman animated series that is beloved. That, again, I don't think I've seen every episode. One of those things where I don't know if I was the wrong age at the time or I just didn't take the time to appreciate it. But now that I'm well into my 40s, I think it's time to go back and watch that cartoon, right? Yes. So I will be back soon for 1993's Batman, Mask of the Phantasm. Can't wait to see that, my friends. But until then, you can find me on Twitter and on Instagram at Geek Mentality. The website is fansnotexperts.com. The Facebook page is Fans Not Experts. And if you just look Geek Mentality up on any podcast catcher out there, you will find us. And by us, I mean me and Batman. And with that, I'll say I hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving. And here is my theme song. This is my podcast, I made it. Geek Mentality's what I named it. And I think you should listen and subscribe, 'cause I'm kinda funny and awesome. I think that I'm worth your time, and I'm kinda handsome. My mom says, please listen and please subscribe. At least listen to this episode.
Fans Not Experts.